Hello.
Go ahead. You're relaxed.
Today I'm going to be interviewing Alan Scales, my grandfather. We are going to be talking about school, PEI, and history. Where did you go to school?
I went to school when I started school. I went to a little school in Freetown. It was a two-room school, and that's where I got my early start in school.
What was your school like?
Well, we had a little two-room school, as I said, and we took 5 grades in one room of the school, and there was another 5 grades in another room of the school. We had 2 teachers, and not too many students compared to what you have today, but a very small school.
Was it hard for the 2 teachers to teach?
I would say it's very hard for 2 teachers to teach when you think about today, where a teacher teaches 1 class for how many students there would be, and that teacher had to teach 5 different grades, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and she taught all 5 in the one little room, and probably there would be, I'm guessing, 10 to 15, 10, perhaps 10 people at the most in each room. So yes, it would be, I would think it'd be very difficult for it, but we were all taught that way.
How did you get to school?
Well, we lived in the village of Freetown, and the school was itself was not too far away from where we lived, so we could walk back and forth to school. It would be perhaps 10-15 minute walk. But there was people who lived in the country that they didn't have the same accessibility to get in school that we had, and but they managed one way or another. Keep in mind there wasn't cars, well there were cars back then, but in winter driving, cars really didn't get out at all, so you had to walk to school.
What was your favorite class?
My favorite class, well, I don't know what my favorite class would be back then. When we went to college after the time in Freetown, I guess my favorite subject would be math. I always enjoyed math and arithmetic, and I found it probably the easiest. But when I went to college, we had to take Latin, which wasn't my favorite class. That was my worst class, when I think about it.
And yet you became a lawyer.
Pardon me?
And yet after all the math, it just became a lawyer.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, I was thinking of going to take chartered accountancy, because I didn't enjoy math. I found it easy, and I was after I finished at Western University, I was seriously thinking of going into chartered accountancy. But the reason I went into law in the end is that because we're going into chartered accountancy, you had to half study and half work, and it was going to be over a longer period of time. And I thought, well, I'd go to law school and get it over with in 3 years, and ended up going to law school.
How has life changed on PEI since you were young?
Well, when I was young, as I said, we lived in a little village and very rural. We didn't have modern conveniences that you have today. We didn't have all the things to do that you have today, so it was rather quiet, and living in the village at that time and there. But life was good for us back then. But you wouldn't like it today, because it would be very slow to what you're going through today.
What would you do?
What would I do? For fun, we would play outside all the time. Winter time, play in the snow, and used to skate, and we would skate in ponds, which meant that we had to walk, to a pond, and you might have to walk for half an hour to an hour to get to the pond. Then we'd have to shovel the pond off of snow and to skate then.
Was it tiring?
Well, when I look back on it, we all did it. We were younger. I wouldn't want to do it today, but it kept us busy, so to speak.
Did you ever see a train on PEI?
I saw a train every day, because we lived in the country, and there's a train went through our village every day, twice a day, and so if you wanted, in the wintertime, if you wanted to go someplace in the wintertime, to Summerside, for example, you had to take the train, and because you couldn't get out because of the roads were all were not plowed then, and so we couldn't get out in any other way but by train. But yes, we saw a train all the time. In fact, we relied on the train. You had to have a train. Today you don't need a train, but then you had to have one.
Did you ever ride a train?
Oh, I rode a train all the time. When I used to go to school, I went to school for 2 years in Kensington, which was next door to Freetown, probably 5 miles away, but we had to take a train every day to school, and that was for 2 years, and so we took the train in the morning and took the train late in the afternoon coming back.
Was that jumping the freight train, or was that a passenger train? Or?
Well, it was a train that had 1 or 2 cars on for passengers, and the rest were freight train, a freight train, and it would come in to Freetown, and it might have to stay there for some time while they took cars off, put cars on, type of thing. The cars would be might be potatoes or something that were shipping out, and so it was not a case of getting on the train, getting off the train. You'd sit there for some time waiting for the train to get the chores done to move out.
How long would that be?
The train ride? Well, the train ride to the school would be about half an hour from where we were to Kensington.
What do you think about the bridge?
Well, the bridge is a great thing, and it has changed the way of life in PEI, and for the better. We have far more things happening in the province now because of the bridge. We have more stores that have come in, national stores, and it's so easy to get in off the province and with the bridge, rather than in the wintertime where we had ice conditions that you would have to be hours and hours and hours just to get the ferry across the strait. So it's a great thing for everybody.
Do you think technology is important?
Well, I like to think that it isn't, because we never had it when we were young, to what it is today. But yes, it's important, and the world is changing because of technology, and there's so many things taking place that, but for technology, it wouldn't take place.
Do you feel that PEI is a better place to live today?
Yes, it is a better place to live because of changing conditions, and the world being changing, and technology, and most of all, I would say, is the bridge, Confederation Bridge, because that has made it a better place to live by itself.
Thank you. I really like the story of the ferry, how long it would take to wait. Thank you for spending your time to do this interview with me.
Very welcome, Adrienne.
Good take. Good job. Any follow-up questions?
You're a good little girl, Adrienne.
Any follow-up questions that you'd like to
How
ask?
would you heat the school in the wintertime?
We had, as I said, a 2-room school, and the only heat we had in each room was a stove, and the stove that would be what they used in would be either wood or coke, and they put that in the stove, and it would heat the whole room, and sometimes you'd have too much heat. You'd have to get away from the stove. Sometimes you wouldn't have enough heat. You'd have to get close to the stove, but that's how we got heat because it was no heat like you have today with central heating. It was simply because of a stove that you got your heat from.
Then where would you stand?
Well, we sat around. The room itself would be, a room probably a little bit like this room right here, and we had our desks and that. But if you got really cold, you'd move over to the stove to get a little warmer, and but you weren't too far away from the stove at any time.
A lot of shuffling in the classroom,
A lot of
moving
shuffling,
chairs.
yes.
Then I guess there
A lot of
was.
shuffling.
How do you think the internet has affected life, as far as your life, having come in 20 years ago, and what it is today?
I would like to think that I could get along without it.
I know. One time you said voicemail was an amazing thing.
Yes, that's it. When all this new stuff comes on, after you get into it, you get hooked into it, and then you find out how great it is, and you can't go back. You keep going forward, and I won't even tell you this. This is not for this tape, but I can remember when photocopying came in, and I was practicing law then, and Jack Nicholson, a lawyer and later a judge, his office was upstairs from mine, and this would be probably about 1960s or 1970s, early 1970s, and I had to get he had a photocopying machine in his office upstairs, and I went upstairs to about this case we were ahead, and I had to get a copy of a document from him coming out on it, and you stood there, and it was a dirty old document in the end, but that was the first photocopying machine I ever saw. So we've got a long way from there, where now you just press a button.
What was the quote about the bridge that you had told us earlier?
When I was started practicing law, and there was much this talk then about it wasn't the bridge, it what they called the causeway, which was going to be something different altogether from the bridge. And we had an election campaign about 1966, and the then premier of the province was Walter Shaw, and he used to thunder at meetings about the causeway, and his line was that it was the greatest single undertaking ever contemplated by mankind for the benefit of the people of the province of Prince Edward Island. Period. And he could say it with eloquence and much better than I could, but it was a great line. I always thought it was a great line.
They didn't build the causeway, but they built the bridge. And has it been the greatest undertaking?
It's still the greatest undertaking. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Dad. What do you say, Adrienne?
Thank you.
That's what I say. You're a great interviewer. Someday when you get a bit older, you'll probably be on television and sitting there to interview people. What you know? Yes, it could be.
You never know. You never know. I think she could do it. She did it in one take.